It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. It makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. It's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and thoughts and the ink stains that have dried upon some line. That keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory. That keeps you ever gentle on my mind. It's not clinging to the rocks and ivy painted on their columns now that bind me. Or something that somebody said because they thought we'd fit together walking. It's not knowing that the world will not be cursing or forgiving when I walk around the railroad track and find that you're moving on the back roads by the rivers of my memory, and hours you're just gentle on my mind. Though the wheat fields and the clotheslines and the junkyards and the highways come between us, and some other woman's crying to her mother 'cause she turned and I was gone, I still might run in silence, tears of joy might stain my face, and the summer sun might burn me till I'm blind. But not to where I cannot see you walking on the back roads by the rivers flowing gentle on my mind. I dip my cup of soup back from a gurgling, crackling cauldron in some train yard. My beard a rustling towel and a dirty hat pulled low across my face. Through cup hands round the tin can, I pretend to hold you to my breast and find that you're waiting from the back roads by the rivers of my memories, ever smiling, ever gentle on my mind. And a good Saturday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you on this Saturday night, the 24th day of February, 2/24/24. That sort of sounds prophetic. 22424. Good to see everybody tonight. Hey, we just left our Faith Network and our Saturday Night Gospel scene. We usually don't do this on Saturday night, but we are grateful to have the one and only Mahgdalen Rose with us tonight. And, kid, it's good that you stayed up. And as it past your, you're a married woman. You can stay up as long as you want to. I was about to say, is it past your curfew? But that's a stupid question, isn't it?
Yes.
Don't go there and say, well, it is you, McDonald, right? So, you know, stupid questions and McDonald sort of go together, right? All right. Hey, listen, big news tonight. It's not big news, but it's just the, goodness gracious, it just seems like that we have this nonstop thing going on. Nikki Haley gets trounced tonight. I'm looking at the latest figures, Magdalene. It looks like it's 60. I'm trying to pull the graphic in here, but it's 60 for President Trump, 39% for Nikki Haley, and that's with about 81%. It's sort of been fluctuating back and forth. And I really believe personally he is going to get the 60. He's going to get the 60% percentage tonight. I'm sorry, I'm trying to save this so we can pull it in. But I do believe that he is going to get the 60%. I'm going to let you talk because I'm going to deal with Trump first, but then I'm going to deal with Nikki Haley second because I got a lot of choice words for her tonight. But tell me what your thoughts are about Trump's performance, and then we'll get to Miss Haley next.
Well, I don't think Trump's performance is that surprising. I'm someone who views South Carolina as a primary mattering much more than Iowa and New Hampshire, because Iowa and New Hampshire are so different, and New Hampshire is such a secular area, and neither one really represent the majority of Republicans. But in South Carolina, you have a mix of fiscally conservative Republicans and religious Republicans. So to me, that's much more the benchmark of how you do there is how well you'll do across the country as a Republican, which we saw in 2016 with Trump's triumph in South Carolina then, and when he hadn't won the Iowa caucuses. So tonight, it's just an affirmation of where he is in the process. He is, in my view, the presumptive Republican nominee, even though they're not calling him that yet. The thing I think is happening with Nikki Haley, and they alluded to this on Fox News, and it's interesting because Martha McCallum and Brett Baier have, in the last couple of days, been talking almost as if they have this hidden intel file about things that are happening in the country, and not being honest about it. And then they let things slip out. Like recently, we've heard from them about these supposed Venezuelan gangs that are apparently running across the country terrorizing police officers.
That's right.
That hadn't been covered either. And now, tonight, you heard Martha McCallum and Dana Perino and Brett Baier talking about this sort of hidden reality, which is that Nikki Haley is making it clear through hints and different things in the back room of politics that she wants to run on some sort of unity ticket, either as a third party or a non-registered or a non-party affiliated person, rather. So there is something that's happening here, and to me that makes sense, because why stay in the race as a Republican if you're Nikki Haley? You know you're not going to win. You know it's not going to happen. But if she's staying in because she believes that she can win in a unity ticket or that she's going to run as a third party, that makes sense. And the other possibility here is that she's holding Trump hostage into making her VP by threatening this. And if that is the case, that's one of the most savage political moves in the last 20 years.
Well, let me ask you a question. How bad does that hurt Trump if she does that? Because me and you talked before the show. You're concerned that this really can hurt him in the general, right?
Yeah. Oh, he'll lose. If she runs on a third-party ticket, he'll lose. And I saw them try to spin it on Fox as if it's like going to hurt Biden more. No, because Nikki Haley's percentage of people, there's this key statistics or takeaway from all the polling, which is that about 20% of the Republican Party is hard much against Trump. And they will not vote for Trump if he's the nominee. So she has an ability to take away about 20% to 20, even to 30% of the Republican Party who hates Donald Trump. There are a lot of Republicans who are very, 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 very sick of Trump. And they're angry, and some of them have real complaints, like him shutting down the country during COVID and complaints about the people who he had hired. I get that. But there are other Republicans who don't like populism in general. And these two groups have coalesced around Nikki Haley. This isn't about Nikki Haley winning the Republican primary. It's about either holding Trump hostage for the VP slot, or someone has told her, someone with a lot of money who can bankroll this, that she's going to be on this other ticket. So she has to hang on until then. You
think it's this Lincoln Project with Crystal and Hutchinson and all this crap bunch that think that they can take Trump down like they did before and it failed? And you think it's that kind of person?
No, I think we're looking much more at like the big financiers of America. This to me is more big banking, big corporations. Really? The people in charge, because the amount of money behind her is mind-boggling. And I remember conversations 5 years ago with other people in Republican politics and with Republican operatives who said to me, you have no idea the money operation behind her. And that was way before 2020 was even really like a thought in terms of that Trump might be in trouble there. So if there are people behind Nikki Haley, which I assume there are because of the amount of money, these are people whose names we will never know, who are not stupid enough to put themselves out there, who are really the backroom bankrollers of American politics.
Yeah.
And that is something that I think Trump knows as well, which is why you're seeing him not really talk about her. I mean, he does this speech tonight, which was a very good speech where he wins the South Carolina primary. He never really mentions Nikki Haley. He doesn't bring it up. He doesn't let people slam her. He's either just trying to move past it or he's concerned about the amount of money and power behind her.
Well, I didn't. Karl Rove must have got that memo because he was out there trashing Trump's speech like he was, back to the old divisive Trump. And I just wanted to reach my hand through the TV and not punch him in the face because that'd be unchristlike and unchristian. But I did want to just take my hand around his throat so he couldn't talk and say, would you just shut up? Because, I mean, he's not, and Rove is part of that wing of the Republican Party, Magdalene, that does not like Trump. He's never liked Trump. He's never going to like Trump. And when Fox puts people like him on the screen, and they tried to they went back to his tone tonight. His tone was divisive. I didn't think it was divisive at all. Look, I'm Trump. I'm a little perturbed too, and I don't think he's going to be held hostage. I understand where you're coming from about the VP. I think Nikki Haley told Brett Baer 2 days ago it was 100%, absolutely, without a doubt, no way she will take the VP. Now, of course, that's politics. And that's being said in February. Where she's at in June, nearing that convention, maybe somewhere else. But at least tonight, that's what she's saying. But when you hear Rove talk about Trump as not trying to bring the whole Republican Party together, I got news for Karl Rove. I don't want the whole Republican Party together, Magdalene, because I'm going to tell you something. The whole Republican Party, half the Republicans act like Democrats. And, you mentioned the money. I think it's a fair statement. I'll let you chime in on this. Is it not a fair statement that a majority of Nikki's votes and Nikki's money and Nikki's backing is coming from Democrats posing as rhinos or posing as Republicans, correct?
I think it is, but there's also this other category of people who are almost past politics. They have so much wealth and so much power that they are not bogged down with either side. What they do is they protect their interests and the interests of their friends and business associates. And Donald Trump as president, he does do a lot of things that I think big businesses in terms of cheap labor and the border are not a fan of. So Nikki Haley may be the candidate they're coalescing behind. The problem we have is the Republican Party has to be unified. We have had disaster after disaster in every election. And Trump knows it. A lot of people at the RNC know it. That's why there was, in large part, a gutting at the RNC. So the people behind Nikki Haley have calculated that they believe she can defeat Joe Biden, but at minimum, she can destroy Donald Trump's chances. And that's why you don't see Joe Biden talking about Nikki Haley. If anything, he's complimentary to her. He stands up for her when Trump makes comments about her husband. So these people, this upper echelon of people in finance, in banking, in that world, it's not Republican, Democrat. It's protect my money and power and my generational wealth and my legacy and company. And they are going for Nikki Haley. So my question is, what do they know about what Trump's going to do or wants to do in his next term that's made them so anti-Trump?
You have hit something, and I'm going to ask you a question. Do you believe, because I'm going to be honest with you, kid, I don't. I do not believe any of these polls that are showing her beating Biden by 20 points or 15 points and Trump barely beating him. I think all those polls about Nikki Haley are being manufactured, and you brought an excellent point up. I mean, an excellent. You get the apple of the day. You get the award of the day. You get the apple of the year for what you just said, and I hope people caught it. Joe Biden is not attacking Nikki Haley, is he? He's going after Trump. And there's a good reason why he's not doing that, even though, because think about what I just said. If all the polls are showing her beating him, then you would think that he would be going after her more than Trump, wouldn't you? What's your thoughts on that?
I think she is ahead of Biden in the polls. I don't think it's by as much as they're saying, but if you had a binary choice between Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, I believe she would win. And if Trump had decided he wasn't going to run, and DeSantis had decided he wasn't going to run, and it was Nikki Haley versus Joe Biden, I think on election night Nikki Haley would win, barring her running a terrible campaign or some huge problem or scandal. The difference is, though, I don't see how Donald Trump is so far behind Joe Biden in the same polls. So Nikki Haley may be 5-10 points over Joe Biden. But Trump, if that's true, is not only 1 point above Joe Biden. Because if the country dislikes Joe Biden that much, you can't tell me that someone with super loyal supporters isn't closer to defeating Joe Biden in the polls. However, big business, banking, corporations, they don't like Trump anymore. They're tired of him. I think a lot of them have questions about the level of right-wingness he will really govern as. So they're going all in on Nikki Haley as a way of diffusing the tension they see in the country.
Yeah, I'm reading a comment from Jennifer, and she says Nikki isn't that smart and nobody likes her. I tend to disagree with that. I think that some people do. I think the mega crowd does not like her. And I think to me, I look at what she's doing right now, Magdalene. If this don't work, her political career is over. She will never see 2028. I hate to tell her. I don't know what she's thinking, because the group that's again for Trump, if she comes back in 28 and then she almost sabotages and deep sixes 24, and then she throws herself back out there, because that was the other thing Fox was pointing out tonight. And Brett Hume was saying that she was either preparing herself for the next time, or she's maybe, again, the vice president angle came up. But the conventional wisdom is that she has, like, she's making this big gamble in 24 with no thought as this same electric that she's trashing tonight and doing what she's doing. She's going to need them in 4 years, because it won't be Joe Biden in 4 years. It will be a vibrant younger candidate on the Democratic side, unless they change this year. So she needs to understand that we're not going to forget this. Because I'm going to tell you something, I won't be voting for her in 28. And I have to give Ron DeSantis credit. At least Ron saw the handwriting on the wall. He had enough common sense to get out and go to the House, correct?
Well, I think one of the things is a lot of people are tired of the MAGA crowd, and they think that once Trump is out, it won't exist in the same way. And it may not. We've never looked at what MAGA is really on a huge policy level without Donald Trump, because you hear people say MAGA as a rallying cry, but what does that mean? When he was running in 2016, we knew what it meant. We knew it meant America First policy. We knew it meant isolationist foreign policy. But when you look at Trump's policy and his governing in the first term, and you see that he really, in a lot of ways, threw away white working class voters to try to court this big tent version of the party. That's not what it was in 2016. So you see this now, and it's very complicated for a lot of people to even understand what MAGA is. I think MAGA has sort of just become a rallying cry, and it's not really a policy platform or a position. So if you are somebody like Nikki Haley, you may think, even if you lose, even if you get destroyed, Donald Trump's not, if he loses this election, will not run again after this. This is the last hurrah of this. So why would she not think, I'll just wait it out? Because DeSantis is waiting it out. Just because DeSantis endorsed Trump doesn't mean he's not equally frustrated and sick of the cult kind of mentality that's been going on for a long time. So she's going to just wait it out and see how it goes. And she must have real advisors who are pushing for that, because otherwise, why go there?
Yeah, well, it's just, again, I know there's a lot of opinion tonight about the role, of her as the vice president. And look, I don't care who Trump picks. I know Kristi Noem's name has come up. I actually have been growing fonder of Tim Scott by the day. I think Tim Scott will make a smart choice, but he's got to deal with this Haley faction of the Republican Party. Magdalene, what does he do? I mean, I don't think he's going to pull any of these people in. I think these people are closet Democrats myself. I don't think this has nothing to do with even Nikki Haley. And what Nikki don't realize, my friend, they will turn on her in a second. And it reminds me of Liz Cheney and her crap. Liz was over there, acting like she was fighting the fight against the Dems. And the second she turned on Trump, the same people that wanted to put her daddy in a noose and hang him for his war crimes in Iraq have become her best friend. And that's what politics does. And I got news for Nikki Haley. You wait till these Dems start turning on her. She's going to find out that there was a price to pay for her quote unquote popularity in the Democrat Rhino Party.
Well, I think in a lot of ways, it's not to me necessarily that they're Democrats. It's that they are tired of Donald Trump. And we've seen this in poll after poll and all of the data. A lot of Republicans agree with Donald Trump on many issues. They would vote for his policy platform. But as a person, they're over him. And they're over the problems that he brings. One of the main problems we have is that we have lost suburban women across the board. It is a disaster. It's been a bloodbath with that. We've hemorrhaged them for years. 2022 in the midterms was the accumulation of that. And a lot of people look at it and go, what is he giving us in this party anymore? Yes, we've got the base. Great. But he's not delivering with suburban women. He's not delivering with college-educated Republicans, which are breaking by 10% in all of these primary challenges for Nikki Haley. He's not bringing those people. So they are looking at it and they're saying, at what point do we move past this? And the fact that he wants to make his daughter-in-law pretty much de facto chair of the RNC has enraged people. Because if you remember in 2016, it was, we're going to end dynastic politics, which I was all for. We're going to get rid of the Bushes and the Clintons. And now it seems he wants his family to run the RNC. And a lot of people look at that and they're like, oh, so we're now just voting for the next dynasty to run us for 20 years. And that's a point he has to address in the campaign trail.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to not disagree with you about the appeal of Trump, because I will tell you this. it's evident in the polls, Magdalene, that the people in these primaries, and we've had New Hampshire, we've had Nevada, we've had Iowa, and now we've got South Carolina. Now, Super Tuesday is coming up in 2 weeks, and I just want to tell everybody, me and you will be on air that night. We'll probably be on more than just a few minutes. We got about 9 minutes to go tonight, but that's going to be a big night because we're going to be dealing with, there's a lot, our state here is going to vote. There's states all over the Southeast, and a good majority of them, and I think Trump will wrap up the nomination by March. I mean, he's going to wrap it up. Probably, if he don't wrap it up by Super Tuesday, it'll be the next, I think, is 2 weeks after that. There's another round, sort of Super Tuesday, the second. He's going to, by this time at the end of March, he is going, a month from now, he's going to be the nominee. I do believe that his appeal, I understand where you're coming from about the suburban women and all those groups and all this, where Nikki may be will appeal. But I will tell you this: it's apparent in these polls. Somebody likes him, and again, if the Republicans want to play games and play child's play, and I'm going to say this into this camera tonight, I don't care who your faction of the Republican Party is. If you want to sit your backside carcass down, and I'd say another word, but I got a beautiful not a mega, but a kid on my program tonight that's smarter than most adults are, twice her age, and wisdom beyond her years. But if you're going to sit on your little carcass and play these little political games, you're going to get Joe Biden for 4 years. And Magdalene, that's my message tonight. I don't care whether people like Trump's tweets or his personality. I'm sort of with you on Laura Trump. I heard that last night. I was watching Hannity, and he was interviewing her, and they were all giddy about her taking over. I do not think that's a good idea. I think you're on to something there, because we're trading one freaking dynasty for another one, and we don't need it right now. There needs to be a fresh start, and I'm with you 1,000,000%. But I will say that I do believe Trump's appeal is deeper than we may think, because the polls are showing that somebody likes him, because he's getting, these are not short numbers. There ain't been a close race yet. He's getting 60 to 65% in all of these races. Now, again, that's not disagreeing with you in a negative way, but I get what you're saying. But I think that the mega crowd, he's still got his base intact, and that's a minimum for him to win in the general. I hope that these Nikki Haley Republicans will come around and understand that if you're going to do what if you think Nikki Haley is going to carry you to victory or carry you into this promised land by a third party, which she's not, all she's going to do is put Joe Biden back in that White House. And if they want to look in the abyss and see the blank hole of a country that we've already got tonight and where it's headed, if this senile Alzheimer's patient gets back in that White House in 24 going into the next 4 years, and if that's what they want, Magdalene, I'm going to tell you something. There's no more pathetic excuse for citizenry and a human being than that, in my opinion. And that's a little tough on a Saturday night. We got about 5 minutes, kid. I'm going to give you the final word.
I think one of the things we need to look out for in the coming weeks is Nikki Haley's language, because she has been recently saying things that are not very Republican. She'll say her policy platform and everything, but she's not leading with, I am a Republican, I am a conservative, I am a Christian. It's more, I am Nikki Haley, and this is what I believe in. And to me, that feels like this is a no parties, no labels candidate going forward. There are a lot of people in this country with serious power and wealth who are suspicious of Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who believe that neither one of them can govern, and they want a third-party choice, and that might be Nikki Haley. And this is my question. If we believe that there was fraud and all these things in 2020, why would there not be in 2024 when Trump isn't president, when we have less power and less oversight? We need to have a serious level of suspicion over Nikki Haley becoming a third-party candidate, because if they could do things in 2020, why couldn't they do things in 2024 to assure her a victory? Because the way she acts, this woman has the confidence from somewhere. Someone has given her the confidence that it's all going to work out. And it's so prevalent, so high. She must have some sort of confirmation, and I don't think it's a religious confirmation. I think someone has promised her something, and that's what we need to look out for.
Yeah, I'm with you, kid. I do have to ask you a question. Do you I know we've talked about this a million times, and the question keeps coming up. I saw Ben Carson's comment. I do not like Ben Carson. I don't think that's a not a good choice. He's got no umph about him. He's not going to appeal to anybody. I mean, maybe a some small percentage of Americans, but this vice president choice ultimately has got to come down to who he thinks is going to benefit him in November. Is there any prayer in hell that you see where Nikki Haley gets on that ticket?
If she's holding Trump hostage.
By how? How is he hold? Let me ask you this. Where would she hold him hostage and why? I mean, how? Not why. I know why, but how would she do that?
By saying, if you pick me as VP, I will not run as a third-party candidate.
I got you.
If you don't, I'll run as a third-party candidate. I think that's her way forward. And, you know, Trump wants to be president again. The question he has, if that's the case, is how badly do you want it? Do you want to win, or do you want to be right in that case? But Tim Scott, to me, seems like the guy he's leaning more towards. I don't see how Ben Carson, and people mention Ben Carson. Ben Carson delivers nothing. He's nice to have at a dinner party to tell interesting stories, but he's not going to deliver anything politically. He's not going to carry a state for Trump. Tim Scott seems to be the person that they're leaning towards, and I think Vivek is getting himself ready for some type of cabinet position. But if Nikki Haley's holding Trump hostage, that is one of the most savage political moves in the last 20 years.
Yeah. Look, kid, I'm with you. I mean, look, and you and I both know this. You covered this a long time. I've ran a campaign up here. Politics is a dirty business, okay? And people just need to take a chill pill and understand that what we see on that public and that television, they're cutting so many freaking deals in the back rooms. I mean, it's not worth losing sleep over, you know? Because at the end of the day, they've already cut these deals before they go on that camera. I never will forget, it was the late Orrin Hatch, and he made a comment. They were talking to him about his relationship with Ted Kennedy. And he said that him and Ted Kennedy, contrary to what people saw on that television, were the best of friends. And he said one day, Ted Kennedy went out there. They had just had lunch and drinks in D.C. at a restaurant. And the next hour, Ted Kennedy gets on the floor of the Senate and rips Orrin Hatch like 6 tail holes. I'm serious. And when he gets down, he's walking out. Orrin Hatch is walking out of the chambers. Ted Kennedy walks up to him, puts his hand around Orrin and says, "Did I do a good job in there doing that today?" And they both started laughing. So that's what we need to understand. It's politics. All of this is politics. And Nikki Haley's playing politics. And it don't make me lose any sleep. Because I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to say it again, though. If she has any prayer, if she wants any prayer of 28, she needs to do the right thing in 24. And I don't see her doing that. But that's just me. Hey, kid, any other news you want to share with us tonight? Anything going on you want to, final thoughts as we wrap this up? And I'm going to take a few statements from questions from the audience. What's your thoughts as we wrap it up tonight?
I think that one of the real winners of this political cycle in some ways was Ron DeSantis, even though a lot of people were mad at him, because that man got out in time not to lose his home state. And the same cannot be said for Nikki Haley tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. Hey, thank you for being up with me. I know it's a Saturday night, and you've been busy tonight already. Thank you, and I'll see you March 5th, because that's going to be a busy night. Bring some coffee, okay?
Yep, thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, kiddo. Love you. God bless, friend. Thank you, Mag. Good night. Magdalene Rose, everybody. Put some fire in that house. And so forth. I am so grateful. I am so grateful for Magdalene Rose and so forth. I want to just address a few comments in the house. Patriot Mom, she's not claiming there's anybody better than Trump. What she's saying is that she ain't saying that. She's saying there are groups out there, the Nikki Haley part of the ticket do. Rose ain't saying that. Magdalene wasn't saying that. She was just saying there's groups of people out there that do believe that there are people better than Trump. So don't lay that on her. Don't lay that on her. She was just expressing her opinion, and that's what we do. And that's what we do. Anyway, somebody wrote the biggest threat is election fraud, and I think that she brought that up tonight. I'm totally in agreement with that, and without a doubt, that is going to be our biggest challenge. And look, I would encourage you folks tonight, all of us folks, I mean, I'm saying this to all of us, the red states, for the most part, are secure. I'm speaking mainly to your blue state voters in Michigan, Ohio, not Michigan, Ohio, but Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, my home state, has gone blue, Nevada, Arizona, those places that we really took a beating with this in 2020. And I would even say Florida to some degree, and Texas, because of these illegals that have come in. Look, folks, it's a given that this is going to be a turbulent, chaotic political year. Somebody wrote that politics is ugly. Well, you better believe they're ugly. And, it's just the way we have to deal with this. And Adele, I do agree with you. I think Trump's base is very loyal. They're gonna be loyal. But make no mistake about this, folks. And I want to say this tonight, and you all can agree with this or not. Trump is not a shoo-in in November. And Mahgdalen pointed out something that I think we all better come to grips with. What these folks did, they weaponized the virus. They messed with these blue state voting procedures, changed the laws in the middle of the night. Look, they did some of the most horrific stuff we've ever seen done in an election, probably in the history of this country, on a national level at least. Don't think they ain't going to try to do it again. I've been surprised, and be honest with you, we're here in February. By this time in 2020, COVID was raging in the country, and they were already talking about making things go away in November. I will not be surprised within the next few months that we don't see some weird virus, some weird variant pop up, and they start claiming that we've got to shut everything down again. Don't be surprised. I'm not saying they're going to do that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I think that if you live in these blue states and you can volunteer at these voting precincts, it would be very wise to do. Any of the vice president comments, I'm not taking issue with the folks that put those comments in there. It's just my opinion. Ben Carson is a good man. It has no reflection on the people themselves. I like Ben Carson. I think he's a wonderful man. He was very loyal to President Trump, and I think he'd be a good part of his cabinet. I'm not saying I'm sold on anybody right now. I think it's up to President Trump for him to do the right thing. I will tell you this, though, and Fox pointed this out tonight as I close. Trump had better be careful how he's distancing himself from the pro-life movement. They were sort of bragging about that tonight, that he is not as extreme. They called him that tonight. They said Harold Ford Jr., the senator from my state, at one time, he was saying, well, I'm glad to see him not be as extreme on the abortion issue. I don't care how anointed you think Trump is. I don't care how you think that he is God's chosen. Let me tell you something. If he betrays life, it ain't going to matter what anointing he's carrying. He's going to lose this election. Now, you ain't got to believe that. It's what won him the election in 2016 when he was brave enough and courageous enough not to be a politician and stand up for the right thing. God blessed his campaign. He's wavering on that tonight. Now, you can get out there and say, well, we're just watching a movie, Chris. What he's saying in public ain't really how he feels. What he says in public is important. What he says in the public is important. And this Alabama IVF legislation that was basically to protect the baby, he came out tonight or this week and he's distancing himself from it and said, well, that's too extreme. I'm going to tell President Trump something tonight. Look, the Democrats have already been a baby-killing machine for 50 years. The Republicans act like they're here to save life, but then they never do nothing when they get in power to actually do it. President Trump was the most pro-life president we've ever had the first time around, but he's wavering on that issue. And I'm going to tell you this tonight, folks. You can like this, lump it, whatever. You don't have to believe this. You can carry on and think we're just watching a movie. No, we're not watching a movie. This is real-time reality. If President Trump does not stand firm, I don't care if he thinks it's politically expedient to not take such an extreme position to protect life at all cost, period. And stop arguing over when we should allow abortion and when we shouldn't. We should never allow abortion, folks. Ever. Period. Period. Now, if that's extreme to this world, let it be extreme to this world. It's not extreme to heaven. It's not extreme to heaven. And it better not be extreme to President Trump. But I'm hearing things that's disturbing me about his stance. Now, you can say, well, Chris, you're just not with the program. I'm told that a lot. You're just not with the program, Chris. You're not with the program. Well, I may not be. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Jennifer's asking, is Virginia going to stay red if they vote? If they vote for Trump, they will. That's up to Virginia. That's up to these states. I have no idea what they're going to do. There ain't no guarantee any state's going to stay red, folks, if we don't get out and vote. Let me say this about this tonight. That's the other thing that just burns me to the crisp. That a lot of this Christian letter movement, and it's not Christian, but this letter movement, all this bunch out there that put all this stuff out, they sit at home and don't even vote. They sit at home and don't even vote. It ain't going to matter what kind of country you want if we don't vote. And I'm not scolding people tonight. I'm not jumping down your throat about it. But folks, we got to vote. We got to get involved in this. If you're not registered to vote tonight, make sure you make it a priority. Super Tuesday's coming up, and you need to vote in the primary. We all need to vote in the primary. We need to get our names on them voting rolls and have our voice heard in the primary and get prepared to vote in November like we've never voted before. Folks, we can't afford 8 more months of this crap that we got going on tonight. We sure ain't going to survive 4 more. We just ain't. And I don't think there's a soul out there to believe we will. And I'm saying this with as calm as I can say it. I'm trying to be calm. I'm trying to stay calm tonight and say it in a gentle, kind voice. But we can't survive 4 more years of this blank. We just can't. It's going to be on us. So the question is, Virginia going to stay red? I don't know. It didn't stay red in the state elections. And by the way, all of you faith folks out there, abortion is going to be a big deal in this election because the Democrats are making it an issue. And again, I say it to President Trump with all due respect and all love because I'm voting for him. I saw somebody's comment, I'm going to vote for him no matter what. Well, I think that's most of us in this audience tonight. We're going to vote. We're going to vote for Trump. I sure ain't voting for Biden. But I'm going to tell President Trump something, and I love him. He better not waver on this life issue. And I hear things coming out of his mouth that are not good. And I'm going to tell him he better have heaven's approval instead of worrying about having the NRC's approval or the RNC's approval and Fox News' approval. He ain't going to have nobody's approval in the media. He might as well forget that. He better worry about heaven's approval on him. And this is the McFiles. And that's my opinion tonight. I think I'm entitled to that. I'll let him in that. Yeah, Tia, I was just talking about. I was talking about that. Jennifer, this is not about Fannie Willis tonight, and please keep it on topic. We're not talking about Fannie Willis. I don't care about her. Angel Warrior, I'm glad you said that. The life issue is the only one I vote for. And you know, Angel, I'm glad you said that because it should be the only. That has always been the criteria for me. That's the only criteria for me. Well, look at it. If a politician can't protect the life of an unborn child, he sure ain't going to protect you and me. Because if they can't qualify, if they can't identify life being from conception on, they're not going to care about the elderly either. And they're not going to protect the life that's here. You got some of these folks, you got some of these dim politicians that are okay with abortion even after the baby's born. That's genocide. That's infanticide. That's not even abortion anymore. That's just killing babies. I mean, some of these politicians on the left, and some on the right, they say they're right, they believe in killing the baby outside the womb. That's not even the abortion debate anymore. That's just killing babies. That's how sick and dark this country's gotten. I'm with you, Jennifer. Not Jennifer, but Angel Warrior. Agree with you. Totally. Thank you. Thank you. Tia, no, you're fine, Tia. We were talking about that. It's not. You don't have to apologize for that, Tia. We were just talking about that because Trump distanced himself from that law. And you're right. What you posted was right. The Alabama law protects the embryos in a woman's body. And Trump said it's too extreme. I disagree with President Trump on that. It's not too extreme. Any effort to protect life is not too extreme. It's not too extreme. You're fine, Tia. You're fine. You're fine, buddy. Brett, I don't know who we're going to get. Trump. The question is always out there about Trump's VP. I don't know, buddy. I know that's a question. Lisa mentioned Ben Carson. I don't think Ben Carson's going to, and somebody pointed out Ben 77, and that is an issue. I mean, you're going to have a 77-year-old vice president. He's going to pick somebody younger. He just will. Look, it's not like I love Tim Scott, but I think Tim Scott wouldn't do him like Mike Pence would do him. I wouldn't think. You hope, but we didn't think Mike Pence would do what he did. Brett, I don't know. There's a lot of good names out there. I'm not a big fan of Carrie Lake. I'm just going to be honest with you. I know people have been putting her name out there, and I do like Kristi Noem up in South Dakota, North Dakota, one of those. I can't ever get the two. I always get them mixed up. Maybe it's South Dakota. But I don't know. I just get this sense he's gonna go sort of off the grid with the vice presidency. I don't think it's VVAC. I know a lot of people think he should put him on there. I don't think. I think that's more that if he does that, then he's appealing to the social media audience, and he's doing it for the wrong reason. He needs to pick this vice president who's going to be the best candidate to run the country should something happen to him. Because that's ultimately why you pick a vice president. Is who's going to have you back and who's going to take over in the event of an emergency. It's a good question. I wish I had the answer. I don't, buddy. I don't like VVAC either. No, Tucker, no. Same reason, Brett, I don't like VVAC. It's why I don't like Tucker. Tucker's a social media personality, and I'm not opposed. I love Tucker. I listened, and I thought he did a great job with the Putin interview. I did. I think he did an excellent job. He took a lot of flack for it, but no, I don't want him as a vice president. I just don't. Same reason. We don't need social media personalities in the White House. I mean, we need people that govern and know how to govern. Tucker wouldn't know how to govern. It's a big, fine line. I see your point. Again, it has nothing to do personally. It has nothing to do with Ben Carson personally. It has nothing to do with any of them personally. I'm sure they're good folks. I'm just looking at this. Who's going to be the best to run the country should something happen to President Trump? He will be 80 years old when he goes back into the White House in 2025. So, important question. I don't like Tucker. Kelly, he is not unfit to serve, and he is a good Republican. I'm going to leave your comment in there, but I'm going to disagree with that vehemently. Let me tell you something, Kelly. If we want to take a debate on who's fit to serve, are you telling me that Nikki Haley, who can't even win her home, can't even get 40% of her home state's votes, is fit to serve? She ain't. And then if you're gonna argue about who's fit to serve and who ain't, can you look me in the face and tell me that Joe Biden's fit to serve? I mean, seriously? I'm not even going to take your comment out, but I'm going to disagree with you very kindly. Nothing personal. He is fit to serve. He is fit to serve. He's more than fit to serve, and he is a good Republican. But I don't care about him being a good Republican, Kelly. I care about him being a good American and fighting for the country, because I could care less about the Republican Party, to be frank with you. This is what Mahgdalen alluded to. And I think it's a terrible, terrible, terrible mistake that Laura Trump's name is being brought up to head the RNC. It's a terrible decision, and they need to move from her to somebody else. But it seems like the ball has been rolling down that hill, and I hope it's not true. But nothing personal, Kelly, but he is fit. He's more than fit. And as I said, I care less whether he's a good Republican. I just care about him being... I care about him being a good American. Well, you need someone who will be there the next 8 years less? No, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't. No, we need somebody who's going to be there 4. And if Nikki Haley would get her brain out of her backside that she sits on, she would see that if she destroys her chances, look, I got nothing personal against Nikki Haley. I don't like her a lot as a candidate, and I don't like her policy, and I sure don't like her attitude. And folks, let's just be blunt with each other. The Dems are financing her. The Dems are financing her. Mahgdalen made a good point. Maybe she is up in them polls, but she ain't up as much as they're telling you. They're trying to convince us on the right that she can beat Biden more than Trump. She cannot. They're going to chew her up and spit her out. They're going to chew her up and spit her out once they're done with this love affair with her. The only reason they love her is she's trashing Trump. I'll wait till she comes out and says, I'm out and I support Trump. Let's see what this MSNBC, CNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, and all the Fox lovers say about her then. You'll see the true colors of the media. I don't buy any of it. I've learned not to buy a thing the media tells me. Anyway. Deplorable, that is an excellent point. They want her to be all or nothing. They want Nikki to be a next McCain. Bingo! 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 And the GOP is just a party. We want the rule of law again. Yeah, we do. We want our country back. I don't know if we're going to get it back. Totally. But I do believe President Trump is the candidate that has the best shot to at least help for 4 years. To the gentleman's point about the 8-year thing, we can have 12 years. We can have 12 years if we'll do this right in 24. Because it will set the stage for 28. But if Nikki Haley continues to play the fool like she's playing tonight, she's not going to be there in 28. I give Ron DeSantis some credit. I like Ron DeSantis. Personally, I know some of you don't like him, and I've read your comments in your emails that you don't like him. I'm not making a personal statement about Ron, but my respect for him went up very much so when he finally got out. He said, this just wasn't my time. He should have never got in to begin with, but at least he saw it, and he got out. He got out. It's 10:48. Just taking a few. Sundance, I have no idea who would be a good candidate. I've got a lot of them. I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to choose General Flynn, Terry. I disagree. I do not believe that. Les, now I'm with you about the 12 years. I'm with you there now. Now, me and you on the same page there. Me and you on the same page. Well, Jill, that's my point about DeSantis. Jill says he's not ready to be president right now, and he wasn't ready right now. If he'll stay in Florida, he'll be out in 26. And in Florida, you're going to have to make some tough calls in 2 years down there. You better be finding a good Republican candidate to replace him, because he's done a good job with the state. I know not everybody's happy down there, but he's done a good job with the state. He has. My son lives there. And my son ain't even into politics. And my son, he praised him. He praises Ron DeSantis. And I'm proud of my son. And he's praising him for the right reasons. And I don't want to get into those because it's family talk. But I like Ron. And I think that I come 28, if he wants to run in 28, he would have my backing. He won't have it now, but he would have it in 28. Anyway. And Tim, I'm with you. I think that Tim Scott would make a good VP. I just do. And Connie, I think a lot of people have a good time with him. I think he's been a good governor. And I used to live in Florida. I think he's done an excellent job with that state. I just do. And there's not been a hurricane that's come through there that they've not responded right to. These things that have, Florida's a weird weather state. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in Florida, and he's been on top of that. He's got, to me, Man of the Year honors for standing up to Disney. if he did nothing else and stand up to the Disney folks to keep our kids away from pedophilia and transgenders and things like that, with no judgment and intention in that statement tonight, but it's not for our kids to be exposed to that crap. If nothing else, he would get Man of the Year honors for me for that. So, Connie, I'm with you. I'm with you. All right, we got about 5 minutes. I'm taking your statements here. Deplorable says DeSantis and Noam. Anyway. Tim Scott is young enough. He is. He is. Well, and again, I know a lot of you are complaining that he ran against the same year against Trump. Well, look, folks, show a little grace. You're going to have to, look, come 28, all we're going to remember is that he got out. And I don't think, if the country's in the balance, again, if that's a reason why we don't want to vote for him, that's a pitiful reason not to vote for him in 28. The same reason that the Nikki Haley faction of the Republican Party don't want to vote for Trump now. And, folks, can I just say this, and not to be sounding scolding and not to be sounding crash and not to be sounding ugly on this Saturday night, we got to grow up. We as a people of this republic, if we don't grow up, I'm telling you, our country is gone. I just shake my head when I hear people tell me why Trump is not good and why we don't need to return to the things that he did for us in 2016 up to 2020. And I'm thinking, have you not seen the state of our country right now? And you know, I've said this, and I will say, I'll just phrase what I just said a different way. Maybe it'll sound nicer this way. The Dems, do you realize, folks, Joe Biden's got an 84% approval rating among Dems? I'm not joking. 84% of the Dems support Joe Biden tonight. I saw that poll yesterday. 84%. 84% believe the country's in good shape tonight. They're okay with the country. They don't turn on their own. Joe Biden has literally, in 3.5 years, destroyed this country like no other president in that White House has ever destroyed it. But 84% of his party says he's a good candidate. The Republicans, if Trump blinks his eye the wrong way or wears a hat a wrong way, puts his hat on wrong or something like that, we don't want him. We don't want Trump. We don't want Trump. We're not voting Republican. We're gonna sit home. We're gonna take our toys and we ain't voting in November. That's what they were saying tonight in the exit polls coming out of South Carolina, that 60% of the Nikki Haley voters said, we'll never vote for Trump. Well, I tell you what, you Nikki Haley voters that don't want to vote for Trump, you sit your carcasses at the house, all right? And enjoy 4 more years of this crap that you've got. That's the difference in the Republican Party that has no courage and no balls in it, and these Dems that they don't care who it is. They're going to back them. And they're not going to allow their petty, eddy, childish behavior to cause them not to vote. Maybe we Republicans could learn a little bit of that. And that's not sounding too harsh. I think that's some pretty good wisdom tonight on a Saturday night. I'll amen myself. I'll amen myself. Rebecca, we hope you will. We hope you will. We hope you will. We hope you will. All righty. Listen, we thank you all for being with us tonight. We hope you enjoyed Mahgdalen Rose. Put some fire in that house. Rebecca, to your comment, it's not a shoe-in. And I want to say this tonight as I go out of here. We better guard against pride and arrogancy on our side. It bit us in the butt in 2020. There was so much arrogance and there was so much pride among Christians with Trump. And I don't want to bring up a sore subject, but there were many prophetic voices that were seduced by this idea that God firmly told them that Trump would win in 2020. And granted, I know there were things that happened that some of these things we could talk about that all night. But not one of those prophets mentioned the things that caused that election not to be won. None of them mentioned that they saw it coming. So I'm just a South Georgia boy, and I'm not trying to take issue tonight. I'm not going to name any names. But if God was so sure in showing them that Trump would win, why do you think God would hide the fact that there was a possibility that there would be a fraud in that election in 2020? Chew on that one. And when you're doing that, understand that our pride and our arrogancy goes before a fall. And we better humble ourselves and recognize that DJT ain't a shoe-in. We better be praying for this election like we ain't prayed for this election in our entire life. And I'll end on that one tonight. I'll see you in the morning. Now, this is our news network. We invite you in the morning for you news folks to be with our Faith Network because we do a Sunday morning Bible study over there around 10 o'clock. I'll be back here Monday night. We got a double feature Monday night. We've got Joe Gilbert. He is a good friend of my old friend Jimmy Meeks, Sheepdog Ministries. Joe is going to talk about the arm of Nehemiah. It's actually not a faith show, but he's going to be talking about church security and some of the things the churches are facing. And then my good buddy, and all I got to say is hide the kids Monday night. Just hide the kids Monday night. James R. And we're going to be talking about this Judge Arrogant in New York and the ruling against Trump with his civil trial. Civil trial. And it's going to be lit. All right. Listen, thank you for being with me on this Saturday night. We normally don't come on Saturday, but I'm glad we did tonight. And I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you, Mahgdalen Rose. She did a good job. And she is our precious, precious, precious goddaughter. I appreciate her. I do. She's such a good kid. And folks, the opinions that we express on this network are our own. You ain't got to agree with what we say here tonight. We're not going to hold it against you. And I've learned to calm myself down. I practiced 6 years. Practiced this 6 years. I think we're getting it right in the 7th. We're not going to fuss and scream at anybody anymore. You're entitled to your opinion, but the opinions of this network are our own, and we're going to stand behind them. And again, you don't have to believe and agree with what we say. It's all right. I've learned to accept that fact, and we're okay with that. Chris can laugh about it, and we'll just play it out, see how it plays out, and see who's right and who's wrong. You know, ultimately, I guess that's what's going to happen. And Chris will come back on here and tell you if Chris was wrong. Chris ain't got no problem telling you I was wrong, like some networks do. But it's all right. But I will tell you, folks, we need to pray for our country. And we need to pray for Donald Trump. We need to, look, folks, we need to pray for Joe Biden tonight. We need to pray for Joe Biden. I mean, this man is within inches of the nuclear codes. You got a man in office, folks, that his mental cognizance is at a level that is dangerous. It's no longer funny. And I want to say this tonight. We do not need to be making fun of that. It's not a joke. This is dangerous. It's become dangerous to this nation. Our enemies know it. And people around him know it. And despite all of that and the state of the country, 84% of the Dems say he's doing a good job. And we support him and we're going to vote for him. Let that sink in too. We better grow up out here. And we better realize we got a country to win and a republic to save. Only God can help us and only God can do it. But we're going to have to get in line with him. Listen, I love you tonight. See you over the week. Jennifer Harrison will be with me Tuesday night. Bill Federer will be with me one night next week on a pre-recorded interview. And some other surprise guests may be coming our way next week. And we appreciate you being with me tonight. If you enjoyed the show, put some fire in that house. We're grateful for you. And may the Lord bless you on this Saturday night. Be good out there. We'll see you over the weekend on Sunday morning. And then we'll see you back here Monday night on the News Network. Good night, everybody.